Business partner disputes are unfortunately a bit more frequent than we would hope. We all go into business with a business partner hoping that it will work out and be smooth forever. Sometimes life changes or power struggles change that and disputes arise. We're here to help walk you through the various types of disputes and how to handle them moving forward. Hi, I'm Wesley Henderson with HH Law. Briefly, I'm going to talk about the different types of reasons we get contacted for partnership disputes. We all, when we start a business, are trying to find someone that we trust and work well with, and usually do. I just warn most businesses that it's not always when the dispute arises that one party is acting nefarious. Sometimes it's, well, one party got a job they can't refuse and they need to leave, or someone's spouse got sick, or some unexpected life event happened, and it is disrupting the partnership. And whenever that's the case, you still want to have a good operating agreement. So it says, all right, if someone needs to leave, they will follow this protocol. There's 4 main reasons I see that lead to these partnership disputes, and we get contacted pretty much constantly about various disputes within an LLC or a business of some sort. The first reason I hear that is probably the most dominant is one party thinks the other party's not doing what they're supposed to. They're not pulling their weight. I'm working harder. They're not doing anything. I'm in early. They're late. I'm bringing the clients in. I'm doing all the work, that sort of thing. So whenever you have that, it creates resentment between the parties that grows and grows, and it typically gets to a tipping point. Obviously, they don't call our law firm day one when they first get annoyed. They call us 18 months after this has been going, and it's kind of come to a head, and they're figuring out what to do from there. But that is one of the most dominant reasons we see that someone contacts us. It's this build of resentment, and it's just gone too far. And once it goes too far, you almost can't get it back. So whenever they contact us, we'll talk about different ways that we try to strategize resolving these at the end of the video. But when they contact us, we like to identify the reason and how we got there. That's one of the biggest reasons. The second reason is usually kind of similar, some sort of power struggle. I think this, you think this, and we just can't agree. We can't figure out who should make this decision. Even if you have an operating agreement in place, there's often not much you can do with this. Let's say you have it 50-50 or even 51-49, you will still have that power struggle, but a more resentful 49% owner who gets kind of dominated and doesn't get as much of a say. So that power struggle ends up being, similar to the you're not doing what you're supposed to. It's this sort of personality. We're not able to get on the same page about who's doing what or making decisions. They're kind of similar, but it's a little bit different. Just sort of, I'm not being heard. I got no voice. And that also leads to resentment. All right, numbers 3 and 4 are a little more nefarious, a little bit more of maybe TV lawyering. Number 3 is someone misusing funds. So paying themselves money that they shouldn't, taking vacations that they shouldn't, buying stuff that they shouldn't. Is usually when one party's in control of the finances, there's not an ongoing conversation. And you realize money has been, embezzlement might sound like an exaggeration, but money has been used not for business purposes or not agreed upon. There may be a work trip that's perfectly fine, but if the other party doesn't know that it's a work trip and they just see you went to the Bahamas for a week on the company credit card and they start adding things up, and it happens all the time. Misuse of funds. Also, just flat out stealing happens. This happens by employees, happens by business owners, happens all the time. So that's another reason. The last reason is what's called a breach of fiduciary duty. This is just your classic partnership lawsuit. There's 2 duties in South Carolina of loyalty and of care. So if your business partner is breaching their fiduciary duty, the loyalty one would be they could be doing some self-dealing, meaning taking an opportunity from the company and giving it to their wife's business or another business of their own or some other way benefiting from it and taking it from the company. Also, duty of loyalty could just flat out be competing. We could be selling gutters and I've got a second gutter business. I'm taking my favorite customers over here. Duty of care is just a standard of performance. You're not showing up. You're supposed to be on a sales call. You're not making it. You're supposed to be doing the finances. You're not submitting them. You are not performing at the level needed to run as a member of the LLC, and it's causing the LLC problems. You're looking at lawsuit type of problems. Your level of care is so low that you are causing problems for our LLC. So those are the most common 4 reasons that we see. Business partners not pulling their weight. Business partners not listening to me. They're stealing funds or they're breaching a fiduciary duty. If you Google the breach of fiduciary duty, this is sort of textbook lawyer speak for business partnership disputes at a high level. And these are the ones that last lots and lots of years with lots of members, and it can be quite costly. So here's what we do if you contact our law firm. We try to figure out whether there's routes to avoid this. These things get extremely messy. You're talking about somebody you built a business with for years and years and years, particularly if there's a lot of money at stake. But also if there's not a lot of money at stake, because there could be liability at stake. You could have both signed on as guarantors. So first, we try to take inventory of, well, how did we get here? I want to understand you as the business owner. I want to understand the other business owner and see what we can figure out. We do not try to go in, a lot of lawyers do, throwing haymakers right out of the gate. We want to understand and spend some time listening. You will have been in this business for several years. I'll be catching up over a matter of a couple hours, but I really need to understand the nuances of that relationship so I can understand who is making what decisions, what kind of power balance there is, what kind of money has been going through, because we need to understand that, because we got to understand what a win looks like for you to get out of this. It usually looks at something along the lines of one person buys the other one out. That's usually a good route. Both people may want to keep it, but if there's money to fund this, buying someone out is always a great route, either or. Also selling it to a third party. The other one is the business is just dissolving and everybody's just fighting and just crushing each other. That's usually the worst, because that means no one gets any money, no one gets any income through the business, and everyone's spending money on legal fees. So we're still, even though it's usually very heated, we're looking for ways to find a financial win for you as a business owner, even though you're kind of caught up in this heated dispute. And these things, they can get heated. So we try to take the temperature down and just look at this as a business decision. And then if we're not able to find a business decision that works well, that's when we start putting the pressure on the legal arguments. And we'll do that the entire time. We'll analyze what good legal arguments you may have. You're always looking at first the operating agreement, and then kind of the context of this relationship and the conduct that led to it. And then you can analyze what your legal strengths are and try to figure out how to use those to get the best deal you can, whether it's owning the business, selling the business, or some other creative way to still maximize the value that y'all created in this business. So I hope that helps you understand the business partnership lawsuit could take 2 to 5 years. And you're taking depositions of each other. You're taking depositions of employees, spouses. A lot of times they're messy. So whenever you're going that route, you want to be with a good lawyer who can look at all the options early on and see if they can find a win early on. So hopefully you don't deal with this business partnership dispute. But if you do, there are smart ways and best practices to try to navigate your way through it. If you need any counsel, obviously contact lawyers at HH Law.